There's one very special person who we're delighted to introduce to you, and this person has spent his life being a champion for bats. Merlin Tuttle was the founder of Bat Conservation International and became interested in bats as a teen when he discovered a colony of gray bats near his home in Tennessee. And he also developed amazing new ways to capture bats in photographs. Let's see the roll-in and meet Dr. Tuttle.
I decided I wanted to be a scientist when one came to my 5th grade classroom and told us about exciting adventures studying animals in the rainforest. And I said, wow, if you can get paid to do things like that, that's for me. Then later, when I was in high school, I happened to live near a bat cave where there were thousands of gray bats that came out each night, and I was very fascinated watching them. But quite surprised that after I'd identified them, I found that they were doing things that the book said they weren't supposed to do. They came and went in the spring and fall, but they were not there the rest of the year. However, all the mammal books said this species doesn't migrate like other bats, and it lives in one cave year-round. Well, I decided my bats must be migrating, and I kept careful notes on them for a yearly cycle, then convinced my mother to drive me to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., where I met with the guys who wrote these books and showed them my field notes and explained that the bat just didn't seem to be doing the right thing. Well, they were quite impressed, so they ended up giving me little metal tags to put on the bats and saying, why don't you go see if you can figure out where they go? Well, I went home, put these bands on the bats, and in an incredible stroke of luck, less than 2 months later, I found my banded bats in another cave more than 100 miles north. In fact, that was just the opposite of what we expected. I mean, this was fall, and the bats were supposed to go south for the winter. But in fact, they had gone north instead. So with a start like that, it's easy to see how I became enthusiastic about studying bats. I was appalled at how many people were terrified of these bats. The gray bat has never harmed a human in its whole history, and yet people were just terrified of them, and cave owners had been told that they were dangerous, so they were going out and pouring kerosene in their caves, lighting it on fire, burning tens of thousands of bats at a time. And I just couldn't help but speak out and start trying to teach these people that the bats were harmless and highly beneficial. If you just left them alone, didn't handle them, there was no problem at all, and that they were really beneficial in controlling insect pests. Well, to my, I suppose, surprise, people started actually listening, and people who had formerly killed bats started protecting bats. And that led to the whole idea of founding Bat Conservation International. I needed help. There were so many people now interested, and I couldn't do it all by myself. And so I founded this little fledgling organization, still having no idea how much impact a single kid could have.
You know, Dr. Tuttle has been an inspiring advocate for bats and has made a real difference for bats across the globe.